face to face with all forces of the kingdom of darkness. I have seen a lot of demons. I have come face to face with a serpent, mermaids, giants, the dragon, tikoloshis, every kind of spirit that there is as well. I've encountered so much. I've seen so much and fought so much. Spiritual husbands. It's been a lot going on. But I've also been very fortunate to encounter the kingdom of heaven. I've seen the Lord and angelic activity. I've seen what the Lord can do. Hi, my name is Koketso Naledi, Motaung, and I'm sharing this as a testimony. Some of you might have seen my story before, but I'm doing this because there's a lot of people who are struggling. And the Lord was like, open a channel and start speaking and start sharing the knowledge that I've given you, because, yeah, not a lot of people know about these stuff. Some of them, I thought it's a joke, I mean, a mermaid, like I thought these things don't exist. But from what I've seen, it's a lot. The spiritual world is alive and there's a lot of spirits and we are at war and we don't know it. So I am from Mafikeng. I grew up in Mafikeng, in Letlhakane and Mooifontein. So from when I was young to when I was about 4 or 5, I stayed with my grandmother and I would dream. My cousins even called me Joseph, okay? It was a joke. It was a joke thing in the house, And yeah, I would dream all the time. I would see things. And I often say that I I was seeing things for as long as I can remember. I don't remember a stage in my life where I was not seeing anything, It's like I was born and I could see. I could see into kingdoms. I could see people's things or problems. Sometimes, obviously, because I was so young, I didn't know there were visions, Now I know it was visions, I could see things, I could sense things, I would know things, and I wouldn't know how I know it because I'm not from a family that understands that, oh, there's a prophetic a gift or an apostolic gift, apostolic grace. I didn't know this stuff, and it's happening with a lot of people because a lot of people are oppressed, by demons. So I lived with my grandmother, and I remember that time I used to dream of witches and just demons and people from the kingdom of darkness trying to abduct me. I'll dream of them having meetings in my grandmother's living room or just in the courtyard, And I just didn't understand. And they would try to abduct me so many times and it would not happen. I remember this one dream where they tried to abduct me. Actually, they got me. They got me out of the bed and they will pull me. They'll always pull my feet, when a person is pulling your feet off the bed, imagine. So I was so terrified to go to bed as well, and they got me. They pulled me out of the bed that day and they started running with me. And when they were in the passage, my grandmother came, right? She had a walking stick. She came, she pointed it towards them, and then they ran off, left me there and off. And then she got me and we went back to bed. But it was just a dream, So the Lord has always been with me. And I always had a voice, but I never wanted to entertain that voice because my father had a mental illness. So I was never going to be seen speaking to a voice. You know what I mean? I was not trying to entertain a voice, you know? And yeah, I would have this voice, but it was a positive voice, always something like my guide. But I did not understand and I was not trying to entertain it. Another thing that plagued my childhood was we are almost all of us at home, we were born on the 13th, me, my mom, and my other sister. On the 13th, and as I grew up, I realized 13 is really a bad number. I'm saying a bad number because I'll give you the revelation of 13 there of later on. So I I grew up like that. I'll dream of positive things as well. It's just that because I was a child, I was more terrified. And I didn't know that these things that I'm seeing, like maybe a light or whatever that I'm encountering at the time, it's actually angels or God. I didn't know at the time, you know. Okay, sharp. Then I move in with my mom. I remember shortly after I moved in with my mom, around 5, because I was supposed to start school next year. Um, this insect-looking creature, very ugly. I've never seen that thing ever since in my life. Started following me when I was going to the bathroom, and I think it was about a week. I was like, I have to tell my mom. I'm used to telling my grandmother my dreams. I would dream, you know what I mean? And then I tell my grandmother. But now I have to establish that with my mom. I'm already used to telling my grandmother. But also, people don't believe me. I mean, my cousin makes fun of me all the time. And I'm not really used to telling my mom. So I tell my mom this is what's happening. She gets somebody to come into the house, a neighbor of ours, and actually look out for this thing when I go to the bathroom. So when next I go to the bathroom, I tell her. And then Watla with a Nopke Rimolamu, the drummer, I know. And then they follow me. When they follow me, it's not there, it's not coming. So that really confused me because I was like, why do these things seems to happen when I'm alone, when there's nobody else? Am I imagining? And I'm so young at that time. So now I start contorting, going towards inward now. And I was a bubbly child. I spoke a lot. And now I start gravitating towards myself. I start asking myself, what is wrong with me? Kamo, my dad is ill. I don't want to be like my dad. I'm born on the 13th. You know what I mean? So all of that. And okay, I go through primary school. I'm still dreaming. I'm still hearing this voice. I remember this one time when I nearly got molested. And I think I was around 8. But my mom got there on time to stop that from happening. Every encounter that I'm telling you about in these videos is important because later on I explain, the craftiness of the enemy. Cool. And I remember there's one time in primary, we're writing a test. I don't know the answers like everybody else, right? But now, what is that? I'm sorry, guys. But now it's almost like this positive radiating thing. It's guiding me towards what I need to write. Almost like there's a force and there's somebody who's always looked out for me. That when somebody tried to tamper with my life, they'll be there. And then, yeah, it's almost like there's a guy that tells me how to write, and I write that. And I remember saying, I'm not going to write this one answer the way they're telling me. I'm going to write what I like. And when I tell you that's the only thing I got wrong, I mean it. But I didn't feel good about that. I didn't feel good about that because I thought I was a fraud. But also, as I was growing up, I was so smart. I was so smart, and I thought it was a normal thing. It's only when I grew older, and people were like, "How do you do that?" It's like, I study, don't you study? And when I was young, there was also this obsession of my clothes as well. I did not get that. But also my mom protected me from that until I was a little bit older, and then she started telling me these things, and then I started remembering certain things as well. But also the Holy Spirit started showing me these things when I started going through he started taking me through my deliverance because I didn't take myself. you know yeah, things like that used to happen, and they happened quite often, quite a lot. I remember in middle school, I went to a boarding school, um, got there, started just sensing the atmosphere, the spiritual activity. I had this knowing what people were up to, and I saw some things before they happened. I remember this one girl stole my towel, and I knew it was going to happen. Then I lost my grandmother. Yes, I still could talk to my mom, but not the way that I could speak to my grandmother, because then I would go to her during the weekends. Then I lost my grandmother. After I lost my grandmother, it's almost like everything went downhill. To a certain extent, I really do believe she was my guardian angel. oh, the Lord just used her in my life in a specific way. Like she played a very huge role spiritually for me. Then I lost her, After I lost her, then I broke my knee. And how I broke my knees is just snapped. Nobody pushed me. Nobody did anything. I was standing during break with my friends, and you know, the bell rang. They ran to their classes. When I was about to walk to mine, it snapped. Got out of um, its location. Its location dislocated. It's almost like a force just came through and just dislocated my knee from nowhere. They even laughed because like they thought I just fell, you know what I mean? And they just continued with their lives. Because I also could not believe it. What just happened? So supernatural things used to happen around me all the time. So I grew up with so much anxiety, not understanding what's happening in my life. Another thing is I was born with a veil. So, like I was saying, the veil was torn, and I couldn't be around certain people because then I will know things about them, or I'll just sense their energy. On top of that, I've got the voice, the voice. You know what I mean? I know that's what I used to call him before I understood. I've got the voice, so I don't want to entertain these stuff. So I grew up with so much anxiety because I did not understand what was happening. And I'm also not from a family where they understand that, oh, you have this kind of gift. And this is why this is happening. But I do believe that all of that was happening because I needed to understand what is happening in my life. I needed to go through all of that to prepare me uh, for now walking in the office or in the gift itself. Because, yeah, an office is something else. Anyway, yeah, then that happened, that incident with the knee. And also in hindsight, I see how when that girl stole my towel, in hindsight, after the deliverance, actually during the deliverance, because the Lord shows you these things, how everything started to change, how the odds started to favor her, how she was then now a teacher's pet. But for me, that was not a thing because most of the time of my childhood, I was trying not to stand out. I was trying to disappear, like, don't look at me. Because what do I say to people? I'm a weirdo, you know, and I believed I'm cursed, So I didn't see it then. I was like, oh my God. So then that's when I was going through my deliverance as well, I started um, understanding destiny swap and stuff like that as well, Yeah, that happened during high school as well as other things. And then when I was in grade 12, my mom started getting sick. Then I changed schools. I was like, okay, I need to change schools because I need to help mom, and just be there for her and my sisters. Guys, let me tell you, when my mom was sick, there was this owl sitting in the garage. We tried to chase it away, it would just not go, and it was not doing anything. It was just sitting there the whole entire time. I will tell you that story and that revelation later. Okay? It was so scary, and I remember my mom getting admitted the final days in hospital. Okay, before she did that, we came to Joburg, came to look for a school because now I'm in matric, right? Look for schools, and she was just excited. I remember it was between Verts and UJ, and I really liked UJ, and she's like, I know I also want that for you because for the type of person you are, it really suits you, and we were so excited. The second time when we were supposed to come complete my application, my mom could not come with me. Then I came with one of my uncles, right? My mom, by the way, is the only child. So when I mean my uncle, I mean like a relative, you know, came with one of my relative. And on the way, he wanted to repeat that act. He wanted to try. He wanted to molest me, basically. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It's like he saw something and he just stopped. Like it's almost like he started with the process of unzipping his pants. And then when he was walking towards me, he saw something and just stopped. And it's just like he was in so much distress, you know. And then I see how the angel I walk with is always being there. You know what I mean? But at that time, it's like, oh my God, what just happened? I was so confused. Not that I wanted that to actually continue, which is something the devil does very well as well. Traumatize you, and then comes back to pray on that trauma, you know? Yeah, stuff like that. And then, yeah, and then that act nearly repeated itself as well. Like I got abducted while I was in varsity. I was staying in Centurion at the time. And I managed to outrun that guy. How? I don't know. A man with a gun in some woods. I don't know where I am. But, like, I managed to escape, you know? I managed to escape. So, okay, cool. Anyway, my mom passes on when I'm in matric. And when I'm in matric, at least there was CFC, Christian something for high school. Yeah, the CFC, the stuff like that. So I can fellowship with other people. So I feel like, I could connect, I could connect spiritually, but it was not enough. There was just that void. Okay, my grandmother's gone. And when I'm saying my grandmother, I mean my grandmother's sister, because my grandmother, my mother's mother, was in Joburg working. So me and my mother, we were brought up by my grandmother's sister, right? Yeah, essentially, that's who I'm talking about. Okay, cool. But it could never feel that void. And I thought, God, I need something. I need something in my life. You need to fill this void because I don't know what's happening in my life. And I remember seeing this man preaching on TV on Sunday. And I was like, and healing people. I was like, I need to go to this man's church, man. I need to go to this man's church. So when I got to, because I know if I could get in a room with him, he would just heal me. He would heal these weird things that are happening to me, that I'm seeing, that I know, because in my mind I'm thinking, oh no, they're bewitching me. How am I seeing things that are not there? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? This man will heal me because seemingly he can heal everything. And when I got to UJ on campus, I met people from that church. I was like, God hears prayers, Got into that church, and I got into that church. I got a relief for a while, I got a relief for a while, started speaking the Holy Ghost, got a prayer language. Yeah, I'm enjoying church, school. Oh, shortly after, what happened is all these scandals started coming out. Pastors are sleeping with women in the church. Like, it was so promiscuous. Oh, there was so much of that in that church, right? I was so hurt because I was like, I thought we believe in this thing together, we believe in this thing together, and I remember saying, okay, let me move. Oh yeah, and before I decide to move, the Lord starts, because now I know it's the Lord, not the voice, start telling me what's really happening in the church and with this man of God, the leader of the church, and what spirits are governing the church and stuff like that. And at that time, I know nothing, because in that ministry, they don't believe in that. And it's also a type of ministry where it's about the man more than it's about your relationship with God, And also, but also, I'm bleeding. I'm looking for healing, And I started having visions, dreams. I was like, you know what? These dreams, no, man, it's because of just what's happening in the church. There's nothing like that, And I am like, okay, let me transfer to Pretoria. I get to Pretoria, not transfer school. Like, I stay in Pretoria, then I have to travel to UJ every day. I'm like, okay, I stay in Centurion. And I transfer to the, in terms of church, I transfer to Pretoria branch. I'm there shortly after Nakona. The scandals come about how pastors are stealing people's monies, how they're sleeping with people. I remember the main pastor was sleeping with one of my friends, or I thought she was my friend at that time. I was so heartbroken. I was like, but how? How did you not say anything? And when I say Mamuruti, they trapped her, she trapped her. In a way I've never seen in my life before. She had so many scars, guys. It's like, how do you fight like that, I was really stunned. Yeah, stuff like that will happen, But anyway, long story short. So Pretoria is not working out, so I transferred to Mafeking. 3 times transferred to Mafeking, but there wasn't a lot of scandals in Mafeking, but it was not working for me because they're in school, and also, like, I want to be in drama moves, I want to be famous, so Mafeking can't work for me. I transfer back to Joburg. When I get to Joburg, though, I'm just like, I'm done with church. I'm going to focus on school and my career. in acting now. I look for an agent. I start doing auditions and stuff, get some parts here and there, you know what I mean? Sharp. So years later, I start getting sick. There's no solution. I go to from church to church, prophet to prophet. You know, we try Bazalani churches first. You know, a lot of prophets. I remember this one time, hey guys in Pretoria, that pastor clapped me. Taking out a demon which was not there. Guys, I was clapped, okay, until I was like, no, please stop. You can see there's nothing here. Like, you hurting me. He was hurting me. He was clapping me. And he was going for my head and my face. I was like, which one is this? You know? Anyway, yeah. Church to church. And then we started now going to uh, ZCC. We tried ZCC because there was no solution. ZCC did not work, but that was not long as well. Like, I think everywhere I go, I would now see the spiritual activity there, because when I got to, I think we went twice, and the second time, a snake attacked me. Yeah. Anyway, it's almost like everywhere I go, then I'll be shown the spiritual activity, right? They were just fighting with me. And then I tried Western medicine, nothing was working. I tried every specialist there is, nothing is, neurologist, podiatrist, everything, guys, you know, rheumatologist, nothing was working. Every blood test, until my body was just like, you can't inject me anymore. Like, my veins were just not coming up anymore anyway, to be injected to take out blood, because it's just like nothing was working. Cool. Then I will try Chinese medicine. You know, when I say I tried everything, I tried everything. Then I tried to heal myself with workouts. You know, I was a fitness bunny girl, eating clean and stuff like that. But it was just not working. Then we start thinking, maybe I do have a calling, African spirituality calling, because I see things that are not there. I hear things, um, maybe, because we tried psychiatrist. That was not, I wasn't depressed. I tried everything, guys. So yeah, I start consulting. The first person we ever consulted, she could not see anything. She could not read me. And that was frustrating, because I was just like, yeah, I'm truly cursed here. Not even people who are supposed to see what's going on with me know what's going on with me. We tried. Okay. The second one was just like, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that you were born with a veil, or maybe try go twice. I'm like, how can I go twice if I don't have the gift? It's like, yeah, you have a gift. And my spirit didn't want to align with that. We tried. Most of them, they couldn't really tell, until we decide, you know what, let's go to a far off country. Let's try Gabon, something really far. Maybe that's what's gonna help me. Maybe people here in South Africa can't tell what's going on with me, but maybe people outside South Africa can. But anyway, around that time, my husband was really looking for Unveiled, he and then his side of the family, Kimosot, is from Lesotho, and then we decided, okay, since you're going to Lesotho, yeah, it's a different country. Let's go there, right? So, anyway, before we go to Lesotho, by the way, because I had started consulting, this is when I started dreaming of strange things like snakes. And when I mean snakes, I mean giant snakes, okay? Snakes. I remember this one time I was sleeping, and I walked inside. I opened the bedroom door. As I closed it, there was this thing standing there. Yo, guys, it was so. It looked so horrible. I was so scared. It looked so horrible. And this was Tigoloshi, by the way. It was so horrible, right? But it wasn't alone, because shortly after then, it was a taller one with a tail. I know. It looked so horrible. I don't know. I started praying, bursting in tongues. I pray. It disappeared. I'm thinking it's gone. When I go to sleep, it jumped on my back. Oh, I could not move. I could not breathe. It jumped on my back. Like, I could not breathe. And I thought, am I gonna die? Guys, I was so terrified, okay? Yes, I've seen them before, like demons and stuff, but then they never like attacked me physically. That one was attacking me physically. Okay, I was so scared that day. Okay, anyway, um, I don't know. Yeah, it happened that after like a long time of fighting it off. And this is in my sleep, but it feels real. It's almost like I prayed, went to bed, and it waited until I just went, and then it jumped on me. Anyway, oh yeah, and another incident that's important around that time is I had a dream of one of people in my family um, telling me to go with their daughters. We crossed the stream to go far off with their daughters, and their daughters was really, really sick, right? And then we went on far until this nice house that we saw in. She says, go in. I went in. When I look around, their daughter's no longer walking with me, right? And I'm alone. Then I woke up. I don't know what's happening. I started praying, by the way, right? But during that time, their daughter passed on. We will get to that story in terms of what was happening to that time. So during that time, I had a lot of attacks, guys. I would see things outside. It was wild. That's why we were like, no, man, we need to try something. So anyway, we go to Lesotho to go look for someone. My husband had been there, of course, and then he had met somebody around there at a lodge, and it's like, oh, there's this so person, you can go see that person. During that time, I've got this yearning that, oh, I need to see an older person, who is also wise, preferably a woman. I had this knowing. Can't you guys, I'm just yearning for my mother. I don't have a mother. My grandmother's gone. Check that. Anyway, we get to Lesotho. We consult. Oh no, the person we went to see, they're gone. They're like, no, they passed not so long ago, so we missed them. Oh, I was so heartbroken. I was like, that person was probably going to be the only person who was going to be able, and I don't know why I felt that way. Anyway, I cried, and we asked the lodge people to help us find another person. They referred us to another person. I went to see that person. When I got to that person, is a male, older though. Oh my God, she gave me stuff to futa, to drink. Did I not fall sick? I was so sick. I thought I was going to die in the suit. This stuff was not getting me better. Do you understand? Cool. I'm still hopeful. I'm just like, no, man. There's another way. We can't come all the way, you know? And then the person who was driving us around in Lesotho, the man who was driving us, I was like, actually, your wife, the kind of sick, he's like to my husband that she has. I've seen this before. My wife had a similar thing, and she went through the process, and she's fine now. The process of uktwasa. It's like, oh, okay, then let's meet your wife. We met the wife, consulted. Imagine. When you almost died, guys, when I say I almost died in Lesotho, I was so sick. I've never been sick like that in my life, right? I was so sick. And there was a time I was looking at my husband, and it's almost like, yo, bruh, I saw how scared he was. And I was like, I don't want to do this to him. You know what I mean? And I had this out of body experience. I remember looking at my body and like, am I dying in Lesotho? You know? Even after that, I I'm still hopeful, looking for a solution, because I'm like, we can't come all the way. Maybe that was a bad experience. I'm not supposed to see a man anyway, because I've always felt in my stomach, in my body, my guts, and I need to see a woman. Anyway, we see this man's woman consult, and um, I go back. We come back to South Africa, you know, and then after a while, I go back. Shapo, I'm in this woman's house. I I tell her my dreams, right? Oh yeah, when I got there, I start now dreaming of weirder things like giants, these black snakes, cloths. And I've never dreamt of things like this in my life. and something is just not right. Or no, why am I dreaming like this? I'm feeling like, no, man, something is missing, but I don't know what it is. And I'm so desperate for help, right? I remember this one time I dreamt of this giant that threw me on the gates so bad. I could feel my ribs cracking because it feels so real, right? And it throws me into the water. Ke re di marine spirits fela. Anyway, stuff like that, like weird stuff, start dreaming like that. I remember then I come to her, like, I'm seeing, because I was still seeing it to Golosh. Ever since that day, oh no, man, it was not going anywhere, right? This is what's happening, right? And she has no answer for me. And I remember telling her, like, oh yeah, now I start these things in my dream. They want to sleep with me. You know what I mean? And I'm telling her, oh, this is what's happening. What should I do? Because you have to tell her your dreams and stuff. It's like, no, don't you know that other people's maglosi sleep with them? That's probably your maglosi. So it's okay. I'm like, hey, what? On that day, that's when I knew, like, this thing. But anyway, long story short, we come back to South Africa and we decide, you know what, we're not going to do this stuff anymore. And then something was happening in our lives, story from my husband to tell, something was happening in our lives. And they're like, if this is happening, you have to have somebody, chap. And then somebody is in like an Inyanga. We're like, okay, cool. We go look for one for this specific thing. We'll go look for one. And they were not really hard to find. And guess what? She's an old woman. She's old. What I felt at the time was like, oh, maybe this is the person we've always been waiting for. But my spirit is saying no, but I'm forcing it because how? I'm still sick, Mos, and I want solutions. So we get to this woman's house. Anyway, when we get there, I start feeling like I'm seeing my grandmother. Mind play, my grandmother, but it's not really her, But I feel like it comforts me that, oh my God, are you serious? This could really be her, you know? And then we consult. They also can't get me right, man. They can't get me right in the spirit. It's like, I know it will happen. At least my grandmother arrived most. So something will happen, something positive. Maybe this is and another thing is that woman and the man we went to look for in Lesotho, they shared a name. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe this is the one I was supposed to see. Yeah. So anyway, we start having an arrangement with that woman and tells me, you do have a call, a very beautiful one upon your life. Um, come here on weekends so that we see what you were dreaming when you're here, so that your ancestors can direct you and show you the way, when you're here. So I start going on weekends. So it's an apostolic church plus bungaka, So we start going there during the weekend to go listen, to sleep, so I can listen to my ancestors, so they can show me the way in terms of what they want from me, so I can stop suffering so much. Okay, cool. So then during that process, she would say things like, oh, we are children of Mamlamb. I start dreaming about mermaids, you know what I mean? Like, just, yeah, it becomes weirder. It's almost like now it's a step further than Lesotho, you know what I mean? Gets weirder, but my spirit is just like, no way. But anyway, this other day now, a flu. We get a flu because there were other people sleeping there. I mean, it's a church, right? Other people sleeping. We get a flu. People recover from the flu, but I'm not recovering. I got it and I felt like, oh, this flu is going to kill me. It's almost like it's a Lesotho, but it's times 10. This flu is going to kill me. But anyway, I get there and I'm so sick and they're like, no, go home. So I go home, and that's when the Lord started to deliver me. That's when my deliverance started. And also what was happening that weekend, it's because, remember when I told you I had that dream of that relative of mine whose mother was saying go with her? something was happening around her grave during that period as well. So I'll explain these things further because I don't want this video to be long, right? So yeah, and that's when the Lord started delivering me. We got home and I was so sick, you guys. Yeah, I thought I know it's chai. And that's what young people say, right? It's chai. I thought no. Uh no, yeah, hey, this time around, I'm gone. I mean, and I didn't understand at that time if it's my ancestors, I am trying to listen to them. Yes, I haven't done procedures and stuff, but I'm trying to listen. Why are they still doing what they're doing? Why is it still so hard, right? So that day I have an encounter with the Lord, and and he says, uh, if I'm with you. And oh yeah, like I was so sick. I was even shivering, you guys. I was shivering like nothing. I didn't have control over my body or my mind or anything. I thought I was going, and he held my hand and he said, if I'm with you, who can be against you? It's almost like my body went, right? I was not shaking anymore, but I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I felt so much better. Like, and yeah, I was like, really? That was God? And he started speaking to me through the word. You know, the next day, he was like, whoever the Son of Man has set free is free indeed. It's like, hey, man, these are scriptures, Mos. I am the Lord your God. So he started speaking with the Bible. So I would have a dream. I didn't even know it's deliverance, of me crossing streams and an event of maybe destiny swap happening in my life, right? I'd go, I'll go into details the next video happening in my life, and it was like, whoever the Son of Man is set free is free indeed. Ask me, get up, read this scripture. I'd read that scripture. I'd read this word, this chapter, this story, right? Pray this way. Wake me up at 3. Pray this way, and that's how sort of my deliverance has started. And I remember then he started speaking with Samuel. And I was like, okay, Samuel, why are you talking with Samuel? Okay. But when I was reading the Samuel story, for me, I was like, why are you speaking to me through Hannah? I'm not praying for a baby right now, Kanti is speaking with Samuel. That voice I've been hearing, it's him. I could not get it. Spoke to me with Ezekiel. I was like, I don't get it. When he spoke about Jeremiah, because it says in the 13th year, his ministry started. I'm like, 13. There's that number. You know what I mean? I've made you a prophet. And then it's almost like when God speaks to you, like it's alive, right? Because he's teaching you. Did you understand? It's alive. I was like, what do you mean? And then he starts explaining to me that, oh no, it's a prophetic gift upon your life. And I was like, but why didn't you say this all this time, my guy? At that time, I did not understand. Obviously, now I understand. I had to go through all of that, right? Okay, and then it continued scriptures, and then told me to read the book of Enoch. Get up, read the book of Enoch. Enoch, book of Enoch. I read Enoch in the Bible. It's like, there's nothing there. It's just, you know what I mean? Few verses. And I know of a book of Enoch at this stage, but I don't want to read it. It's like, oh, Christians will rip me apart over that book. I can't read that book, but my philosophical mind wants to read it because there was a time where I was really into philosophy. And God has a very beautiful sense of humor, by the way. He made sure that he gets me with something that will attract me because I was a philosopher and there was this intellectual thing about me. He knew that book, and so I would read it. I would deny it, but I would read it because if I were to go into the Bible, I would be like, oh, it's just a verse, like I did with, you know what I mean? Like I did, I was like, it's just a verse, it's just a verse, because at that time I did not understand, okay, let the Holy Spirit teach you the word, sit in the word. No, I did not understand that. So, and also when I tell you, I only read chapter 1 and 2, which was enough for me, and I could not continue because I needed to understand what God needed to teach me. That's when I started to understand those giants, who they are, what the watches are, you know. and started teaching me on different spirits as well, you know? And after the last day of my deliverance, at that portion of my deliverance, uh, a great rain came. And you know that type of rain that happens got 5 minutes, man, you know, it's quick, like. And then he said, that was your rain. You're delivered. That was not the end. I thought that was the end, you know. He comes back again. I go through a period, right? No makeup, no this, none. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, no, Shem, you know, but it feels off. Something feels off. I'm thinking, like, what's happening? You know, what's happening? Um, I'm still dreaming, but my dreams are a little bit purified. You know, it's not a text anymore. You know, then I entered the purification stage. That's where the war began, because that's when I got to understand the altars in my family, the marine spirits, the trauma, what happened to the women in my family, who are the gatekeepers, who did what, you know, why did that happen in my life, you know, that when I'm saying that was war, that was a battlefield, because I was waking up every day at 3. I remember this one time I was like, Lord, I am tired. How long is this going to go on for? And that's a story and a video on its own. Otherwise, this one is going to be too long. So my deliverance did not happen just that part. And I know that part of the story I've told. There's another one where I thought I was in the wilderness, but no, he's like, no, this is not the wilderness. This consecration period, right? Purification period. And he taught me these words without me really understanding what they mean. He would say these things, and I was like, okay, purification, right? And that's when I encountered angels. Oh, yeah, but before then, I had also encountered uh, the angel Gabriel. He's already revealed what the number 13 means, you know, to me or to him. Or what it means for my journey, what my name means at that time, you know, to him, and how it fits into my purpose, you know. So when I started now the purification period, healing and breaking that trauma, guys, it nedibu woman. If you think everything I told you until this fine diabua, no nedibuwa. So if the Lord can do it for me, he can also do it for you, right? This is part 1 of the story, because if I go on, the video will be too long. But also, I want it to be a 3-part story so that you follow along. I want to take you through the consecration period, through the purification period, and where I am now and what's happening. I really hope this story inspires someone, that it speaks to someone. And yeah, if he can do it for me, he can do it for you. God is alive. Follow the videos, because he also started talking to me about dream interpretation, how to interpret my dreams, what to look out for. There's quite a lot, you know, the meaning of color, the meaning of numbers, the meaning of quite a lot of things, you know, and that they mean different things for all of us, and it depends with the type of core that's in your life, or what is really happening in your life, you know. And also showed me how spiritual husbands entered my lineage, you know, the spirit of perversion and sexual immorality, of incest, really, you know, all of these things. For example, how, remember, I nearly got molested when I was younger, and when I was a bit older, I got abducted. You see how this repetition wanted to happen, because he wanted to take something away from me, you know, to cement these spirits, and how these spirits are linked to my bloodline, you know, and when they started, and how and why, because it's always deeper than we actually think. So yeah, that's a bit of my story. Please do like, comment, share. Please share this video. There's so many more, guys. That's why I'm sharing the story again. You know, the Lord's children are in bondage. I never even knew, that I have spiritual bondage or generational bondage or curses. You know, please do like, comment, and share. There's a lot of people who need this information. I'll see you in part 2. And yeah, keep well. The Lord bless and keep you.